My sister is twisted. To stop me from marrying my fiancé, she broke her own leg. Later, I was murdered by my fiancé and my best friend, plotting together. At my funeral, that pair schemed about how to spend my inheritance. But my sister, the one with the crippled leg, hunted them halfway across the globe like a madwoman. Now reborn, when my fiancée wrapped her arms around me, telling me to slip this knockout drug into my sister's drink, I pushed away that woman with her sickening smile. What could my sister possibly do wrong? She just loves me too much. Ethan, when the time comes, just put this stuff in your sister's drink. Your sister definitely won't suspect you. This stuff could knock out an elephant. Once your sister's asleep, tonight, I'll get you out of here, okay? The person across from me gently squeezed my wrist. But my mind wasn't on her. My gaze was fixed behind her. The shadows of the large tree swayed. My sister, in her white dress, at our front door, holding a kitchen knife, her eyes dark and menacing, watching us both. By the time I realized I was truly reborn, my sister had already dragged me inside the house. She held the kitchen knife in her left hand, her right hand fumbling around the doorframe. Probably couldn't find any rope, so she pulled off her own tie and tied my wrists. You're forbidden to see Ashley. Ashley, that was my fiancée, the woman who just told me to drug my sister. I let my sister fuss over the knot on my wrist, head bowed. She was so careful not to hurt me, damn it, even patting it with some cotton. Sis, I caught her fingers. She paused. In my last life, even touching her disgusted me. My action made her hesitate for a second or two. Then, she clamped her hand over my mouth. Shut up. If you dare plead for Ashley again, I'll kill her. That's how it was last time. My sister and I slowly grew apart. I was head over heels for Ashley. Didn't know she was already hooking up with my best friend, Sean, the two plotting to kill me for the insurance money. I truly thought Ashley was my soulmate, completely devoted to her. But my sister tried desperately to stop me, telling me Ashley was bad news. In a fit of anger, I said horrible things to her. Chloe, you're twisted, imprisoning your own brother. Do you know why the neighbors avoid you? Because you're a freak. I hate you too. Why did you have to be my sister? I don't want you as my sister anymore. I don't want you as my sister anymore. I only remember how pale her eyes looked that day. She looked like her mother, beautiful to the core, but always with this fragile, about-to-shatter quality. She just calmly tied me up, then told me, dinner is fish head stew with tofu, my favorite dish. When I came back to myself, I was tied to a chair. My sister was cooking in the kitchen. My sister really is an unstable, extreme control freak. But what's her fault in it? She just doesn't know how to love me. I zoned out for a moment. My sister came out of the kitchen, looking down at me. What's wrong, sis? I tilted my head up and smiled at her. Why aren't you fighting? Her voice was a little soft and husky. Actually, my sister's voice wasn't always hoarse. It became that way from working jobs to raise me, straining her voice until it broke. You don't have to tie me up, sis, I told her gently. I won't run away again. I'll stay by your side, heal the sickness in your heart. But my sister just looked down at me coldly. Playing hardball didn't work, so now you're trying the soft approach? My sister thought I still wanted to run. But she didn't know. The thing she could handle least was me acting soft towards her. The woman turning to leave looked resolute, cleared my throat, put a little whine in my voice. Sis, it hurts. 3 seconds later, I was sitting perfectly fine in the chair. My sister was squatting in front of me, frantic as if I'd lost a limb. Where does it hurt? Huh? Should we go to the hospital? Sis didn't mean to. She wanted to touch me but didn't dare, because I used to yell at her loudly not to touch me. So when I was angry like this, she didn't dare go against my wishes. My fingertips brushed through her soft dark hair. She froze, staring at me with a shocked expression I hadn't seen in ages. I looked down, gently tracing the corner of her eye. Sis, this life. It's my turn to protect you. Seriously. Since I'm reborn. Ashley and Sean, those two pieces of trash, neither of them gets to live well. Why should they dirty my sister's hands after my death? Ethan, didn't I tell you yesterday to drug your sister? Near the corner store, Ashley, hands behind her back, frowned at me. In my last life, my obsession with Ashley was like she'd put a spell on me. so she always treated me bossily and demanding. If you don't get your sister knocked out tonight, don't expect me to help you escape. In my last life, I listened to her and drugged my sister. But maybe Chloe had a high tolerance. She woke up halfway, struggled to chase after me, stumbled and fell down the stairs, broke her leg. Even now, I remember that day how red her eyes were. Lying on the floor, she still tried to keep me there. She yelled at me, "Don't go! Come back! They're bad people." Her voice completely hoarse, she painfully told me, "Trust your sister. Sister would never lie to her brother, not even in death. Sister would never lie to her brother, not even in death." But back then, I only saw her as a control freak who wanted to lock me in her room forever. Ashley probably thought threatening me with not running away with me would make me anxious, but I didn't even raise an eyebrow. I asked her, "This drug, it won't kill my sister, right?" And my good buddy Sean, just then, coincidentally showed up with a popsicle and sat beside me. "Ethan, it's simple. Just watch the dosage, enough to make her sleep. Besides, she's scum. She deserves to die. Deserves to die." Would someone who deserved to die hunt down the two culprits to the ends of the earth after my death? Would someone who deserved to die drag a crippled leg just to avenge the brother who ignored her warnings and constantly guarded against her? Did I not know if my sister was a bad person? I looked up, wishing I could tear these two in front of me to shreds right now. But now wasn't the time. I stared at the packet of knockout drops in my hand. In my heart, a plan was already forming. "You went to see Ashley again?" Just as I entered the door, someone hugged me from behind. Her elegant nose nuzzled my neck, her breathing light. My sister smelled faintly of blossoms. Under the lamplight, Chloe's face was pale, her features striking, like ink splashed forcefully onto white paper. Fragile, as if it could smudge and break apart. "Sis, I wasn't." "Shut up." She cut me off coldly. Her knuckles brushed my shoulder blade, the unfamiliar touch sending a shiver down my spine. But this time I didn't pull away. I suddenly felt my sister was like a cat checking if the tattered doll it found still belonged to it. I smiled, my fingers brushing aside her messy bangs. Then I suddenly stopped. Hot, extremely hot. My sister had a fever. Only then did I notice her face was paler than usual, clearly uncomfortable like this. Yet she stubbornly watched me. "Sis, why didn't you go to the hospital?" My hands trembled slightly as I supported her. Her voice was cold and hoarse. "You promised you'd be back by 6. I had to wait for you." The clock already showed 9 p.m. I realized I'd forgotten the time we agreed on while dealing with my own matters. But my sister, like a fool, insisted on waiting for me even with a raging fever. My sister lay on the sofa. She gave me that look of utter shock again, one I hadn't seen in ages. Because I was going to make dinner for my sister. This was the first time in my life I had ever cooked for my sister. I'm a good cook. In my past life, trying to please Ashley, I made all sorts of meals for her. But towards my sister, I was often dismissive. So many years later, I found out my sister had kept a half-eaten piece of bread I'd left behind, hidden away for a long time. The shrimp and scallop congee was cooked just right. I blew on it gently, then offered a spoonful to my sister's red lips. My sister stared at me, her eyes holding the suspicion that I'd drugged it. "Are you going to eat it or not?" I asked calmly. She bit down on the spoon, lowered her eyelids, looking almost docile. I couldn't imagine how her slender forearm, veins clearly visible, had managed to decapitate Ashley and Sean back then. "Sis, have you thought about our future?" I asked softly while my sister ate her congee. "I'm graduating soon, your job isn't stable, we could sell this house and move to the coast. Didn't you always want to open a flower shop?" In the past, my plans for the future likely never included my sister. The phrase I said most often to her was telling her to get lost. Even though she raised me, gave up everything for me. "Sis, don't you like flowers?" I leaned closer to her. "But you always smell faintly of blossoms." Before I could finish, she raised her hand, gripping my chin. Her delicate fingers brushed my lips. My sister's gaze towards me had always been clearly etched with the word possession. "What are you trying to say? The coast? A flower shop? Convenient for you to run away? Stop lying to me." "Okay, Ethan." She murmured my name, like talking in her sleep. You know perfectly well, in a new place, the first thing you do is abandon me. She spoke the truth. If it were my past life, I definitely would have done that. My sister was like an animal, once bitten by a snake, forever afraid of well ropes. I wanted her to trust me again, but she saw me as the venomous snake tempting her to eat the forbidden fruit. Too many times before, I deceived her until she had nothing left. In the empty room, we stared at each other silently. You need to prove it. My sister stared at me. How do I prove it? I asked her. The light flickered, then suddenly went out. The room plunged into total darkness. Soon I knew how my sister wanted me to prove it. I was pulled into a soft embrace, her fingers caressing the small of my back. Burning hot, I heard her muffled groan, then she gripped my chin. Her lips pressed against mine first. So hot, everything about her was hot. Her fingers grazed the back of my neck, kissing me. The root of my tongue felt almost numb from her heat. My sister was defiling her own brother. Her lips traced down from my damp eyes, landing by my ear, using that unnatural heat to slowly arouse my senses. My sister probably never imagined that when she sealed my lips, I would grab her collar tightly and kiss her back. And so my sister's breathing grew ragged. She turned my chin straight, pressed her forehead against mine, rubbing gently. I listened for her whispers in the dark. Only then did I realize who was truly suffering. Prove it like this. Don't leave your sister. I finished washing the last bowl in the kitchen. My sister was in the living room. In fact, I was just avoiding her. Things had moved too fast. My sister and I had done things we never did in my previous life. I knew my sister's feelings weren't just familial. We weren't blood-related anyway. But the look in her eyes was always intensely restrained. Wanting me but daring not to act. I didn't know how to face her, even though I'd lived 2 lives. Just as I was pondering this, my sister pushed open the door and walked in casually. Have a sip. She hugged me from behind, pressing me against the sink, holding a cup of warm milk to my lips. I did have a habit of drinking milk before bed, but this seemed like the cup she'd been drinking from. Following her lip print on the rim, I took a sip. Good boy. She ruffled my hair. Sis, called her. You need to practice your kissing technique. What? She chuckled. I said. I turned around. Then she stood on tiptoe and unexpectedly kissed the corner of my mouth. I brushed her bangs aside. Sis, now, do you believe me? I won't run away. See, I've even opened myself up to you completely like this. But the woman, head tilted back, just kept looking at me like that. Everything to you. My head suddenly felt heavy. I looked up at her, my thoughts clouding. No, my head felt so dizzy. The milk? My sister cupped my face. Her smooth fingertips brushed my eyelids. I couldn't move. There was something in the milk. I heard my sister's voice, sounding very far away. This time, you did very well, Ethan. But you shouldn't have kept the drug somewhere so easy to find in your bag. It just fell out. You almost managed to kill your sister. Damn. My sister misunderstood. I kept the drug in my bag to get it analyzed, to find evidence of Ashley and Sean's crimes. But my sister thought I was planning to drug her. Everything I had just done, she now saw as an elaborate act involving great self-sacrifice. I wanted to explain, but couldn't speak. My eyelids grew heavier and heavier. What kind of mess was this? I tried to reach out, but Chloe brushed my hand away. Do you hate your sister that much? You tricked me once. Did you think you could trick me a second time? My head was groggy. Felt like something was binding me, making it hard to move. My whole body was immobilized. My sister had tied me up. Sis. I looked at her, feeling helpless. You have to give me a chance to explain. Chloe looked down at me, her expression blank. My sister was tall and looked thin, like fragile glass. But she was strong, whether dealing with that pair in the last life, or dealing with disobedient me in this one. Her almost chillingly pale knuckles caressed behind my ear. Sis, I called her. Shut up. Another slightly harsh, hoarse reprimand. My sister leaned down and kissed me. Her eyelashes were long, brushing against my eyelids, tickling slightly. I couldn't move, but I felt even my sister's gentle teasing was becoming unbearable. Because I liked her, I was forced to respond to her. But when my senses filled with her scent, the last shred of reason pulled me back from the abyss, making me sober. I wasn't here just to practice kissing with my sister. Sis, cough, cough. I started coughing. She pulled back, slightly annoyed, gently rubbing my back. Choked. Who's the one who needs more kissing practice? She spoke sharply, clearly still angry. She thought I'd deceived her, but I hadn't. So I got angry too. You're the one who doesn't trust me. Ashley gave me the drug. She wanted me to knock you out. I only took it so I could send it to a lab for analysis. You're the one who doesn't trust me. I held my head high, meeting her gaze. When she leaned down to kiss me again, I knew my explanation went in one ear and out the other for this person. I struggled free from her. She raised an eyebrow, hummed an "oh." Her words were soft, tickling my ear. The drug was for analysis, not to poison your sister. Ethan, are you going to say next that you did all this for me? But have you ever loved your sister, me, even a little? Her expression was calm, but her eyes looked frantic, almost broken. I opened my mouth, wanting to say something but couldn't. After all, previously, to escape Chloe, I'd done things like putting sleeping pills in her breakfast, putting caustic powder in her things, falsely accusing her of stealing and calling the cops on her, and so on, countless shameless acts. You could say her bad reputation in the neighborhood was half my fault, purely from cleaning up my messes. It's understandable she couldn't change her view of me instantly. I could tolerate it for now. So I, with a sudden movement, kissed Chloe. My sister's lips were nice to kiss, soft. She froze, her eyes looking like color suddenly blooming. And then my sister went crazy. My head hit the mattress. The bed dipped under our movement. I responded to her, found her hand, interlaced our fingers, kissed her neck, said, "You're going to torture your sister to death." I thought last life I owed Chloe so much. This life I wasn't sure I could heal her, but I could definitely promise to stay with her, tormenting each other until death. My sister's cooking is delicious. If my hands weren't tied, and she was feeding me spoonful by spoonful, I think it would taste even better. Sis, I drew out the sound, calling her. The silver spoon touched my lips, then paused. Ethan, the last time you whined at me like this, you almost sent your sister to jail. She stated a fact calmly. But under the table, my leg brushed against my sister's calf. She froze for a second. A faint blush crept up her cheeks. So innocent. If my sister hadn't just pinned me down on the bed and kissed me like a starving wolf, I might have believed it. Sis, do you believe in fate? Actually, I had a dream last night, saw the future. In the dream, I married Ashley. Sis, you broke your leg. Later Ashley and Sean plotted together and killed me. You, dragging that useless leg, hunted them halfway across the globe. So, I really hate Ashley now. I stared into her eyes, saying these words with utmost sincerity. But she remained expressionless, her beautiful eyes like a still mirror. I couldn't guess what she was thinking. Oh, really? She leaned closer, her breath warming my neck. What a coincidence. I also had a dream last night. In the dream, the little brother would do anything to escape his sister. He spun a beautiful lie, deceived his sister completely, made her drunk on false hope, and then abandoned her. I almost thought she was reborn too, because in my last life I had coaxed Chloe right before drugging her. I still remembered that day, her eyes red, gripping my wrist, holding me tight, saying, "Ethan, you won't leave me, right? You promise you won't leave me, right?" And that night I drugged her, and she broke her leg. If my sister dreamed that, it's no wonder this psycho wants to keep me tied up. I gave her a small laugh. She frowned at me. Then forget it, sister. Whatever you do to me, I'm willing. I promised myself this was the last time I'd deceive Chloe. In the shower, I turned the water to the coldest setting. Drying my hair, I aimed the cold air straight at my head. I've always had a weak constitution since I was young. When the chill shot through me, my sinuses felt strange. I sniffled, knowing I was catching a cold. Whether I'd get a fever was up to luck. I came out of the bathroom toweling my hair. My sister was sitting on the sofa, her dark eyes fixed on me. I walked over, and with a little oof, tackled her onto the sofa. Although my action was sudden, my sister still managed to wrap her arms around me. Her voice cool. "Go to sleep." My hand rested on her thigh. This wasn't like my sister. She caught my fingers. I stared at her slightly upturned lips. "Why are you ignoring me?" Don't fidget. Go to sleep. When she spoke again, there was a warning edge to her voice. Sis, I'm being so nice to you. Don't you like it? I pulled her onto my lap. Her pupils visibly trembled. A muffled sound escaped her. She was forcing herself to endure it again, my sister. So maybe I won't be so nice next time? You're the one pushing me away, Chloe. Look, you're pushing your brother. A gentle pressure on the back of my neck. My words were abruptly cut off by her kiss. She didn't want her brother talking again. The fool. Sometimes I pitied my sister. I was the one physically restrained, but she was the one truly trapped. I caressed her neck. Are you scared, sister? She nodded silently against my chest. You've been acting too strangely lately, Ethan. Her voice was soft and husky. I'm so afraid it's a trap. But you know, even if you dug a pit right in front of me, smiled and said, Sis, jump into. Sister would still jump without hesitation. In the middle of the night, I felt too sick to sleep. Went to knock on my sister's door. Sis, I think I have a fever. My vision blurred. I looked down at her. A rush of thoughts flooded my mind. Just felt my sister was really beautiful. At school, plenty of guys would probably like her. But unfortunately, because of me, my sister had. She grabbed my wrist firmly. To the hospital. Without a moment's hesitation. Her coat was already draped over me. She felt my forehead with her hand. I could feel her tremble slightly. Probably. Really hot. My sister always panicked because of me. My sister was too perfect, so God gave her one weakness. Me. My sister's life was shattered because of me. In the taxi, I leaned against my sister's shoulder. I really felt cold, so I clutched her coat tightly. I held her hand, playing with her delicate, pale fingers. Still feeling bad? We're almost there. She was worried if the fever had fried my brain. I really wanted to tell her I was fine, that I did it on purpose. But I couldn't bear to see her expression if she knew the truth. My sister hurriedly carried me into the emergency room, placed me on a chair in the four-drip area, straightened my collar, squatted in front of me, calling me her sweetie. I'm going to pay the bill. I'll be right back. Be good, okay? You'll feel better after the 4. I buried half my face in her coat, watched her with my eyes showing, nodded. She patted my head, leaned in, kissed the corner of my mouth. I watched her retreating figure. She really wanted to get back to me quickly, but I dropped her coat onto the chair, turned around, and slipped out into the vast night outside the hospital. I really wanted to stay with my sister forever. Maybe someday my sister would understand I truly loved her, but time was running out. I couldn't let Ashley and Sean lose patience with me. I'd finally managed to get some evidence of their crimes. It was 4 a.m., just before dawn. I called Ashley, she didn't answer. Right, at this hour, who wouldn't be asleep? At the same time, I couldn't stop thinking how frantic my sister would be when she found me gone. When I was very young, my sister lost me in a department store. I cried amidst the crowd. She pushed through the endless stream of people to hold me, trembling with anxiety. Every time after that, my sister always found me. Until the last life, she broke her leg, and her brother still left without looking back. The ringing phone interrupted my thoughts. It was Ashley. I answered. You escaped. There was a moment of silence on her end before she asked me. Yeah, my sister's tough to deal with. She confiscated the drug. Can you get me another dose? Don't worry. She's lowered her guard around me now. It'll definitely work this time. To dispel Ashley's suspicion, I had to pretend to utterly despise my sister. And Ashley sounded strange today too. Like she was using a voice changer. This wasn't good. It meant Ashley was starting to suspect me. Like dominoes falling, I was afraid my changes would completely alter the timeline. How can I trust you? Ashley, are we really talking about trust between us? Sure enough, Ashley must have sensed something. I had no choice but to raise the stakes, took a deep breath and said the words, Don't you know I like you? Silence on her end again for a long time. Then she asked me, What about your sister? I need to be sure you haven't been turned by her. My sister? I can't even be bothered to look at her. Just a dog clinging to me. If she died someday, I'd set off fireworks to celebrate. Not true. That's not it. I was definitely saying the opposite. I closed my eyes, silently adding the correction in my head. She finally seemed reassured on the other end. Gave me an address. 876 South Street. Be careful. Ashley and Sean were definitely involved in illegal activities. I even suspected, before they met me, they'd already conspired to scam insurance from others. So this time, I secretly turned on my phone's recording app. I glanced down at my phone screen. 45 missed calls, all from my sister. The meeting place was an abandoned warehouse. Ashley was always cautious, making even running away seem like some illicit operation. In my last life, I somehow didn't sense anything wrong. Dawn was breaking, light filtering through the dusty windows. I still felt my head heavy and dull, thinking, get some evidence quickly, call the police, get Ashley and Sean arrested. My sister, Chloe. My thoughts suddenly tangled, fiercely weaving through my mind. I couldn't stop thinking her name. Turns out even a moment's betrayal and separation could make me feel like suffocating. I didn't want to lie to my sister anymore. I really regretted it. Reaching the end of the warehouse floor, I froze. The sun was just rising. Someone was tied to a chair, mumbling incoherently. It was Ashley, and behind her stood my sister, hands in her pockets, fiddling with a SIM card. In that instant, I suddenly realized my sister had tied up Ashley. She'd learned to solve problems at the source. No wonder the voice changer, the person on the phone, wasn't Ashley. It was Chloe. What had I said to my sister on the phone? I'd said, my sister? I can't even be bothered to look at her. Just a dog clinging to me. If she died someday, I'd set off fireworks to celebrate. I was screwed. The rising sun drew a sharp, dividing line between her and me. I stood there stunned, my throat dry. Sis. She tilted her head slightly. Her beautiful eyes reflected me, devoid of emotion. Are you going to plead for her? She nudged the person tied to the chair in front of her. Ashley was clearly terrified, looking at me, desperately pleading for help. Such a coward. Sis, let me be clear, I'm not taking her side. But we don't do illegal stuff. So you are pleading for her? She cut me off. This sister felt so unfamiliar. I'd never thought my sister would look at me with those eyes. Calm, cold, silent. What could I say? Explanations, my sister wouldn't believe them. It would only make things worse, eventually snapping the thread between us. I thought my sister would get angry, yell at me, tie me up and take me home to deal with me. But she did none of that. Her calmness terrified me, like sinking slowly into a lifeless swamp. After a long moment, I heard her sigh. Ethan, you know, I like you. I'm afraid of many things, and every single one involves you. Afraid you'll get hurt, afraid you'll go bad, afraid you'll leave. These past few days, I kept wondering, just how much do you hate me? Hate me enough to sacrifice yourself? Then I realized, even if I held onto you forcefully, you would still leave. So Ethan, I won't stop you anymore. My sister gave the woman a push. The sunlight didn't catch my sister's retreating figure. I only caught her words. You and her, live well together. Remember to go to the hospital. Sis won't take you. I stood there stunned. For a long while, I finally understood. My sister didn't want me anymore. In the empty warehouse, Ashley was so moved she was almost crying. Sobbing, Ethan, I knew it. You do care about me. Your sister's a psycho. Call the police quickly. Get her arrested. I kicked the chair she was tied to, knocking it over. Who does she think she is? Ashley didn't dare call the police because she herself was involved in illegal dealings. The woman wailed behind me, yelling for me to untie her. I ignored her. After a brief internal struggle lasting 2 or 3 seconds, I ran out of the warehouse. I decided to chase after my sister. Growing up, it was always my sister comforting me. So my sister couldn't abandon me. I didn't know where my sister went, decided to go home first to find her. Now it was my turn to call her phone and not get through. How the tables have turned. Sitting in the car, I typed out a long text message to her, then deleted it, word by word. I suddenly felt like I'd caught my sister's craziness. I was going mad too. When I couldn't see her, my mind was filled with her. I finally found my sister. Not at home, but at the convenience store near our house. I stood at the store entrance, took a couple of steps forward, but froze under the streetlight. The convenience store was mostly empty in the early morning. My sister wore a black coat, her features delicate and beautiful, her skin almost chillingly pale, lowered her eyelids as she handed something to the cashier. The cashier was a young guy, sneaking glances at her. My sister curved her eyes into a smile at him. I exploded right there at the entrance. Somewhere in my heart felt like it had been brutally squeezed. My sister came out of the store, looked at me with some surprise. A faint morning ray fell on her face. I stood directly in her path, so she tilted her head slightly. "Excuse me?" The way my sister looked at me, like I was a stranger. I couldn't hold it together anymore. "Sis." The end of the word cracked. I watched as my sister's pupils slowly widened. Then she pulled me into her arms. Her fingertips brushed my cheek. "What are you crying for?" "Stop crying." Sis was wrong. "It's my fault. Stop crying, okay?" Everything she was holding fell to the ground, just so she could wipe my tears. I looked at her, choking back sobs. "I never had parents growing up. And now you don't want me either. Chloe, how could you be so cruel?" She said, Okay, it's all my fault. You really know how to make me worry. Stop crying, all right?" But I was crying until I could barely breathe, until I felt my nose getting stuffy. Then I suddenly remembered I was still sick with that cold, and the virus in my body seemed to launch an all-out attack. My head swam violently. Then I remembered, I'd been running around all night, hadn't even finished half and 4 bag. My consciousness started fading. I grabbed onto her sleeve. In the very last moment, I still heard my sister frantically calling my name. I felt something covering my eyes. Black cloth, couldn't see anything, so my other senses were infinitely amplified. Someone brushed my bangs aside, touched my head. Fingers slightly calloused, it was my sister. "Sis," I called out. She didn't answer me, reached out, undid the top button of my shirt. Moving downwards, I shivered slightly. She gently rubbed my earlobe. "Good boy. Let's check your temperature." "Sis, why are my eyes covered?" "Because." I caught the sound of her breath near my ear, magnified 10,000 times compared to usual. My heart pounded. "You need to be punished." "I have a fever, sister." My wrists were patiently tied by her, so I had to follow her voice. But she fell silent. I could only hear the rustle of sheets and fabric, and her taking my wrist, winding a silk ribbon around it, again and again. It didn't hurt, wasn't uncomfortable, but there was an ache just like my sister was to me. "Sis, I was wrong." I had no choice but to beg her. She hummed softly. I couldn't figure out her mood. My vision was pure darkness. She took the thermometer from under my arm, seemed to be reading the number. "Where were you wrong?" I heard her ask me. "I shouldn't have lied to you. Shouldn't have contacted Ashley." "But sis," contacting them, I really wanted to get them. A touch of warmth on my forehead. Most likely my sister checking my temperature with her own forehead. "Wrong. Ethan, I'm not angry because you lied to me. It's because you deliberately made yourself sick. Do you understand?" My sister used her knee to push my legs apart. "Because of me, you hurt yourself. So I wanted to kill myself." Chloe said everyone's world is different, and in her world, there was only me. "So don't make your sister sad. Don't make your sister suffer, okay?" Her kiss landed on my neck, wet. "I'm afraid one day I'll go completely mad, and won't be able to love you anymore." I felt her gentle bite, her voice gradually shifting into a pained reminiscence. "Whether you hold a knife to sister's throat, or break sister's leg, what can I do? I willingly accept it. But you got sick, you felt bad, you were uncomfortable. What do you want me to do? I'm going crazy. So please, torture your sister more, just don't hurt yourself." I recalled, in both lives, my sister was like this, even covered in wounds, she'd hold on to me. I hooked my arms tightly around my sister's neck. "But I love you too, sis. You should trust me more. I love you too." Those words were like fireworks suddenly exploding. I could feel my sister freeze. The next second, I regretted it a little. My sister was too crazy. Tears flowed uncontrollably from the physical stimulation. My heart felt squeezed tight. At some point, I finally understood. My sister's pain was connected to mine. Her kiss landed over my heart. Invading, plundering. Creatures of darkness are like this, unable to crave the light, always drawing light from each other. When I was little, I was afraid of the dark, afraid of falling into an unseen abyss. But if my sister was the abyss itself, I was willing to fall in. Sis, I unconsciously called her name. My sister lifted the black cloth. I looked into her eyes. They sparkled brightly, like the most constant stars in the universe, burning into my heart, making me want to cry from shame. Her slightly sharp teeth bit into the skin of my neck. You said sister was your dog. Now, do you want to do something to this dog? I couldn't hold back anymore, becoming a demon of hell, dragging my own sister into the eternally burning abyss. Faint morning light fell on the bedding. I moved my arm, and my sister held me tighter. Other brothers cling to their sisters like octopuses. With us, it's my sister clinging to me like an octopus. Her elegant nose nuzzled my neck. I reached out and gently touched the red mark on her neck. Ethan, you were so passionate last night. I thought you wouldn't bear to mark me like this. She laughed against my neck, with a slightly nasal tone, teasing my heart with each sound. Sorry, couldn't help myself. I apologized without a shred of sincerity. Want me to make it up to you? I sat up, pulling her astride me. The morning light happened to fall right on my sister's face. She instinctively squinted, her hand resting on my waist, her face exquisite, like a masterpiece by the most famous ancient Greek sculptor. She leaned down and bit my shoulder. I reached up to brush aside a stray lock of her hair. She ground her teeth slightly. Didn't hurt at all, but I still hissed. Endure it. She gripped my neck. I nodded obediently. She looked down at the teeth marks she'd left on me. Before my sister could finish admiring her work, I flipped the blanket, pulling her completely under the covers with me. Vision plunged into dimness, surrounded by her scent. My kiss landed on her spine, like the lingering warmth of dawn's final note. Damn, my sister caught a cold. Serves her right. Neither of us was in great shape. Now I could breathe clearly, while she was wrapped in a coat, sniffling. Want to go to the hospital? I felt her forehead. I'm fine. She nuzzled my palm. Ashley might be connected to an illegal drug lab, but she's cunning. I was already investigating her before you acted. Just missing some key evidence. Sure enough, in both lives, my sister had investigated Ashley. But clearly, both times, she couldn't find a solid lead. But my sister investigated focusing on the illegal drugs, while Ashley might also be involved in another, more dangerous activity. I tugged my sister's sleeve. I think Ashley and Sean might be conspiring to commit insurance fraud. My sister froze for a second. You mean? Sean got close to me first, then Ashley made her move. Got close, got to know me, eventually marry me, kill me, collect the insurance. A wild guess, but my sister's eyes darkened slightly, especially when I said, kill me. Their IDs might even be fake. Sis, try looking into that angle. My sister stared at me for a long moment, then smiled. What, wanna play detective now? Actually, my sister's job really was a detective. Private investigator. But a completely different kind from the ones in books or what people usually imagine. I didn't like her profession at all, because my sister was smart, but had no formal education. Back then, there was only enough money for one of us to study. I went to high school, so she had to take these shady jobs to support me. For a while, I saw her come home covered in bruises every day. Only later did I find out she'd taken a job as a fighter in underground matches. Some private detective. More like someone who'd do anything for money. Ethan. My sister's slightly nasal voice pulled me back from my thoughts. I looked up. Suddenly, my sister wrapped her scarf around my neck, kissed me through the thick wool. Thank you for being on my side. I stood stunned, then suddenly felt a sting in my nose. I've always been on your side. I won't leave, not in this life. Silly sister. After winter, the first signs of spring appeared. I stood by the window, watching the ice melt. The indoor heating steamed up the glass. The kid next to me was doing homework. This was my last job before graduation, tutoring part-time. I looked out through the glass. Faint light hit the thawing snow. Someone was leaning against an old silver sedan, looking at me. My sister wore a camel cashmere sweater. She was so pale, almost blending into the white snow, standing far away. I couldn't tell if she was spacing out or watching me, until my phone vibrated in my pocket. It was her. Stop looking at me, Mr. Teacher. Focus on teaching. The kid next to you is practically bursting with curiosity. I fell silent, turned my head, met the kid's gaze, who just moments ago was diligently studying vocabulary. Now her eyes were sparkling. Mister, what's the deal with that woman? Is she your girlfriend? I ruffled her hair. My thoughts returned to the lesson, the piles of melting snow, marking the end of a silent winter. Stepping on the crunching, melting snow, when I went outside and saw Chloe, she opened her arms to me. Hey, be careful. I pulled her into my arms. She wrapped her arms around my waist. I let her hold me like that, my breath dissipating in puffs in the cold air. She pulled my hood up for me. In the dim, swaying view under the hood, she tilted her head up and kissed me. On the way home, I held her hand, only because the thin ice on the pavement was slippery, of course. I definitely wouldn't admit I was craving her warmth. Talking as we walked. Remember the town where we used to live? After our parents disappeared, my sister brought me here to the city. The police officer who investigated our parents' disappearance back then, seems she got transferred here. The day before yesterday, I ran into her. My chest tightened suddenly. I opened my mouth, didn't know how to answer, so I gripped her hand tighter. It's okay. Her slightly comforting tone dissolved into the vast white air. I gave them a lead for arresting Ashley, probably. She came to thank me. My sister and I reached our front door. A police officer in plain clothes was standing there. Compared to the last time I saw her, her temples had more gray, her eyes still sharp, honed by time, making her even harder to read. The middle-aged officer's gaze fell on our joined hands, becoming somewhat intrigued. Long time no see. You two siblings still so close, huh? It's been over 7 years, hasn't it? Ethan, yes, and Chloe. So much time has passed. You two haven't changed much. My sister and I sat on one side of the sofa. The woman smiled at us, the lines around her eyes crinkling, friendly in a way that made it impossible to gauge her true intentions. I remember when I handled your parents' case. Your brother was still in high school. She gestured to her waist level. I was just a rookie cop back then. And yet, even now, I haven't been able to solve this missing persons case. It's been a weight on my conscience all these years as an officer. So I didn't like dealing with veteran cops. They knew the art of conversation, knew how to peer into people's hearts. And my sister clearly was handling it much better than I was. Detective Wagner, is that commendation plaque there for me? I just gave you a little help. You really didn't have to come all the way here. My sister smiled sweetly, but the older woman's gaze remained fixed on her. After a moment, she smiled too. Thank you for assisting us in apprehending Ashley and her associated criminal group. The trial starts next week. If you're interested, you can attend. Here, the commendation. She handed the plaque to my sister. My sister reached for it. But halfway, she stopped. But speaking of which, your parents' disappearance after all these years, have you two discovered anything new? I shot up suddenly. The coffee table wobbled slightly from my movement. Detective Wagner watched me with interest. My sister reached out and took my hand. Excuse me, the kettle in the kitchen should be boiling. Let me make you some tea. My steps were hurried. Pulled open the kitchen door, closed it, leaned against the sink, gasping for breath. My heart was racing. The sun was setting. I was enveloped in fading shadows. Bubbles trembled in the sink drain. Wrong. This wasn't like my past life. Why was that case being brought up again? Was it because I gave my sister the clue, and she happened to meet Detective Wagner? Did the timeline change? But my sister and I were just starting to get on the right track. Live a normal life, please. No. I dug my nails into my palm, letting the pain pull me back to reality. From the living room, the conversation between my sister and Detective Wagner drifted in faintly. My brother's always been timid, our parents disappeared when we were young. You scared him just now. My sister's voice was calm, neither servile nor overbearing. Oh? Actually, I always found it a bit strange. Your parents disappeared. Why weren't you and your brother more frantic? Do you think your parents are alive? Somewhere you don't know about? Or are they already dead? Detective Wagner's questions were probing, provocative. After a moment of silence, I heard my sister say, I think they're dead. Then Detective Wagner hummed an "Oh, if my father were alive, That gambling addict would probably smash everything just to take the house I bought for my brother to pay off his debts. If my mother were alive, she'd probably rather die than let my brother go to college. She'd force him to sell a kidney. So whether they're alive or not, I hope they're dead. For a long time, Detective Wagner didn't say another word. Trying to guilt-trip me, young lady? Think whatever you want. My brother's been in the kitchen a while. I'll go check on him. A soft sliding sound, my sister opening the kitchen door. After a long moment, my sister hugged me from behind. Only then did I realize I was trembling. Tilted my head back, saw the boundary between light and dark. Turns out we'd always been dwelling in darkness. The living room where Detective Wagner sat was brightly lit. But our kitchen couldn't hold onto the last ray of sunset, swallowed into a damp, oppressive cage. I heard Detective Wagner say loudly, "But the law shows no mercy. Whether someone is dead or missing, the culprit, I will definitely catch them. That's my duty as a police officer." I trembled slightly. My sister gave a soft laugh, lifted my chin, kissed me. Utterly defiant, wasn't it? In the living room, Detective Wagner was loudly proclaiming her ideals. While in the dim kitchen, my sister's hand slipped under my shirt, caressing my waist, kissing my nose, lips, neck, whispering softly, murmuring, doing the most decadent things. My vision swayed, caught a glimpse of the bright light from the living room. Maybe I was already in the deepest level of hell, so I wasn't afraid of the dark. I hated the light too. May ushered in the intense cicada calls of summer. I sat outside the police station, people coming and going, until I saw the woman with salt and pepper hair, Detective Wagner. Though past middle age, she was still sharp and energetic, tucking her wallet away and stretching. Saw me. "Hey, Ethan. You've been visiting this old lady quite a bit lately." I handed her the bubble tea I was holding. She grumbled about not liking young people's drinks but took a big gulp anyway. "What's up? Heard you're graduating soon. Where's your sister?" I ignored her question, told her, "The old house back in our hometown is being demolished." She raised an eyebrow. "Oh, that self-built house. Good news, they're developing that area. You should get a decent amount for it." I paused for a moment, quietly looked up at her. When I was little, my parents hit me often. The setting sun reflected in my pupils. I watched the detective's expression gradually turn serious. I was young and foolish then, hurting from the beatings. Maybe I really could have done something terrible. The smile completely vanished from Detective Wagner's face. Cops are always so sharp. Maybe her quick mind had already run through 1,000 possibilities of cause and effect. I turned around, walked away from her. When I got home, my sister had already prepared a full table of food. I told my sister class ended at 4. It was already 6. I suddenly remembered, that time right after I was reborn. My sister had waited for me just like this, sitting on the sofa. I walked over to her, took her hand. "Sis," called her. She seemed sealed in the descending twilight, gripped my wrist, pulled me into a hug. "Where did you go, "To see Detective Wagner." I promised my sister I wouldn't lie to her anymore. She sighed, ruffling my hair. "Fool." Felt like so many words could be hidden in actions. Like my sister wrapping her arms around my neck, kissing me. Like her fingers threading through my hair, winding it again and again. If everything in the world had a temperature, then I hated this intense summer. "Eat first." Her fingers brushed my bangs aside, breathing against my lips. I tightened my grip around her neck. "Eat what, sister?" "Dinner." "Sister." We mixed up our objects. I looked down at her, then pulled her into my arms. Outside, a bicycle bell rang. The pungent smell of someone cooking with Sichuan peppers drifted through the window. But I knew the summer was ending soon, so I could only kiss her, racing against time. I wanted to crush her into my heart, carve her onto my mind, never forget her for a lifetime. I called my sister, asked if she could come to my graduation ceremony. My sister sounded dismissive on the phone. "Don't know. I think I have a case tomorrow, helping a client find their cat. You're dead if you don't come." I threatened through gritted teeth. She laughed. "How dead? I'll never want you again. This whole life." She fell silent on the other end, then commented, "Indeed, that's a death sentence from which there's no return." Actually, I still didn't know if my sister would come. but I was the valedictorian, had to give a speech. My sister paid for my education with money earned from those underground fights. Money my sister saved by secretly eating nothing but salted vegetables and steamed buns for a month. Money this superhero called sister scraped together from hardships I couldn't even imagine. I wanted her to at least know her brother amounted to something. But when I actually got on stage, the audience below was a sea of faces. I hadn't seen my sister before going up, didn't know if she'd be hidden among them, but I still mentioned her in my speech. Thank you to my sister, without her, I wouldn't be here today. I felt like she didn't hear it at all. She probably went to help that client find the cat after all. I could try to understand my sister more. After all, considering everything, I still owed her. I came down from the stage. Someone blocked my path. Looked like some fool bringing flowers for their boyfriend. Until I realized this fool had my sister's face. I froze there. That was the first time I'd ever received flowers. From my sister. Flowers. Her tie was a little crooked, clearly just finished meeting a client, maybe even turned down a huge case. She leaned down, smiled at me. Hey, Ethan. Bought the roses for nothing. You're much prettier than the roses. In the 15 minutes it took for my sister and me to walk across the bustling campus field, I counted 27 guys sneaking glances at her. 3 guys asked for her number, treating me like air. I started feeling glad my sister hadn't spent time on a university campus. Otherwise, I might have had some rich heiress rival pop up. Many graduates were taking photos on the field. I tugged my sister's sleeve. Sis, let's take a picture together. I rarely took photos with Chloe, because the old me always felt there was nothing worth capturing with my controlling sister. This was the first time I wanted to preserve something with her. She looked down at me. The emotion swirling in my sister's eyes was too intense. I was somewhat glad we were in a crowded place. I asked a young woman nearby to take a few photos for us. When she handed the phone back, the young woman smiled at me. You and your girlfriend look great together. Thanks. I didn't deny it. I think my girlfriend and I look great together too. When I called my sister my girlfriend, her eyes looked like she wanted to devour me. That's the first time you've said it. What? The summer wind swept across the noisy field, lifting her tie. My sister was never part of my youth or adolescence. Yet she made my heart pound more than anyone I'd ever brushed past. In the alleyway, 100 meters from the bustling field, the summer wind blew through. My sister pinned me against the wall and kissed me. That's the first time you called me your girlfriend. Baby, I've waited so long to hear that. Kissing me until my legs felt weak. Life seemed to enter a cycle where everything was improving. My sister and I tacitly avoided discussing a certain matter. Woke up in the morning. She held me while brushing her teeth, our reflections in the mirror. We went to our separate jobs. Sometimes I'd bring her a bouquet of dewy white roses. Sometimes she'd bring me her latest culinary experiment to try. I told her this was repaying kindness with malice. Later, the summer rainy season brought continuous downpours. Our travel plans were forced to cancel. She didn't know who to be angry with, so she took it out on me. I held her and told her to sleep. Later, she really fell asleep in my arms. When she woke up, the heavy rain still drummed against the window pane. The sunset glow pierced the raindrops. Streetlights lit up sequentially. My sister just kept leaning against me like that. Still angry, I brushed her bangs aside. She tilted her head up and kissed my lips. Fool. One evening I came home early. It was my sister's birthday. I planned a surprise, so I secretly slipped into her study. It was called a study, but really more like a room piled with books and clutter, where I used to study for exams. Now my sister used it for work. I planned to hide her gift secretly in a cabinet. Opening a drawer, my eyes accidentally caught a stack of white paper on the corner of the desk. It was just ordinary paper, but clearly, someone had written on something placed on top of it before, leaving faint indentations. I stared at the pencil that had rolled nearby. On impulse, I took the pencil and traced over the indentations. It must have been information my sister wrote earlier. Following the gray pencil marks, words slowly emerged. Demolish 9.17. It seemed to be the date our old house back home was scheduled to be torn down. My heart suddenly plunged into an endless icy abyss. No one knew what secrets were hidden in that old house. In my last life, I didn't even live long enough to see the old house demolished. But the approaching date pulled my terrified heart down with it, until a calm, quiet voice pulled me back. "Ethan, what are you doing?" My sister leaned against the doorframe, calmly looking at me. "Sis." I instinctively crumpled the marked paper. My sister stared at the paper ball in my hand. "What is it?" "Let sister see." I tossed the paper ball lightly into the trash can, walked over, hooked my arm around her neck. My sister leaned down to look at me. My sister's eyes were like the clearest glass in the world. How could I bear to see them shatter? I lowered my head, nuzzling her lips. She let me do as I pleased, even steadying my waist. "Sis, happy birthday," I told her softly, handing her the gift I'd prepared, a photo album filled with pictures of us. My sister and I solemnly placed it on the shelf next to the refrigerator. "Only 2 pictures," she said with a hint of self-mockery. "It'll be filled." I picked up the Polaroid camera. My sister was beside me, behind us, the faint glow of candles on the cake. One of her arms rested on the dining table, my head tilted towards my sister. I said, "Sis, smile." She curved her lips into a smile. That was my sister's 26th birthday. That day I was still by her side. Actually, every day I spent with her before, I was just as greedy for her presence. But 9.17 hung like a curse, devouring the little summer my sister and I had left. September 16th. The day before the old house demolition, I went to the police station. My sister happened to be out of town on business today. I came secretly. Before coming, I called Detective Wagner. "Hey, young lady, you haven't contacted me in a while." Her voice was still calm and composed, as if she handled everything with ease. "Detective Wagner, I want to turn myself in." I felt like I dropped a bombshell. As a police officer, she should have given it her full attention. But instead of cuffing me, she invited me upstairs for tea. "Detective Wagner, did you hear what I said?" "I said I want to turn my—" She stopped walking. "Young people these days, treating the law so casually? Me? Turning yourself in also requires proof you committed a crime. Understand?" The setting sun cast long shadows down the staircase. The police officer stood at the top of the stairs, staring at me. For a moment, it felt like a sharp sword piercing through me. I composed myself, told her word by word. "My adoptive father, adoptive mother, I killed them both. When I was 12, I walled them up inside our old house. The proof is tomorrow when the house is demolished. You should see their bodies." It was a long, silent stare. I hated eyes that could see through everything, so perceptive, so penetrating. I liked my sister's eyes. They were always gentle when she looked at me. "Well, isn't this interesting?" After a moment, the middle-aged detective laughed. But I couldn't. The sword of justice had finally passed judgment on me, punishing the self who had once abandoned his sister. "Are you 2 siblings taking turns turning yourselves in? But your sister beat you to it by a day." "My sister? Young lady, your house is being demolished today, not tomorrow. Your sister lied to you, didn't she? She was already in custody yesterday. She's being taken to the site now for DNA comparison. Conveniently, the test results are about to come out. Want to come with me? See who the real killer is?" No wonder. My sister, who never traveled for work, suddenly had a business trip. No wonder. My sister didn't press about what was written on that paper ball, because it was meant for me to see. No wonder. No wonder at lunch yesterday, the way my sister looked at me, like she wanted to glue herself to me. It was clearly because she thought she'd never see me again. I didn't know how I ended up in the police car with Detective Wagner. I didn't know what she said to me. The wind outside blurred the passing streetscape. For the first time, I wanted to kidnap my sister. They said autumn had arrived. My summer was gone too. My name is Ethan. The traffickers said it was embroidered on the cloth I was wrapped in when they stole me. I was 3 when I was sold to my adoptive parents. My adoptive mother said, "A bit thin." The trafficker said, "You didn't pay much. He's a boy, not your own flesh and blood, of course. You can use him however you want. He'll definitely sell well when he grows up. Besides, look, he doesn't cry or fuss. Let me tell you quietly, I snatched him from a shopping street near the university in the city. Got good genes. Later, they still bought me. Because I was cheap. Because That thing called my adoptive father looked me up and down with lewd eyes, felt my arms and legs, heart, kidneys, limbs, all money. It seems others don't remember much from childhood, but my memories are sharp. Just felt pain every day. Sometimes it was the pain from being beaten by my mother for no reason. Sometimes it was the pain from being chased and bitten by the family dog. Sometimes it was hunger, aching hunger. I was 8 when Chloe was found and brought back. Yes, Chloe was their biological daughter. That night I was kicked out to sleep in the pigsty. I saw her. She wasn't much better off than me. Also dirty, but her eyes were beautiful. I'd never seen such beautiful eyes, like her mother's. Actually, I liked my mother because even though she always hit me, my mother fed me. In my world, the concept of people who are good to me didn't exist. The mother who fed me was the best. I hated Chloe, because after she came back, my mother stopped feeding me altogether. I really did fight with the pigs for food. Later, Chloe secretly shared her food with me. She said, "I'm your sister." I hadn't learned to speak properly. Mimicking her tone, I mumbled an unclear sound. I hated Chloe, but I subconsciously clung to her. I felt Chloe had stolen everything from me, yet Chloe allowed me to survive. So one day, I quietly took her hand. I watched the girl's pupils slowly widen. She was 13 that year, I was 10. I didn't know then what kind of broken, empty, yet obsessive and debased feelings my sister held for me. I only knew my sister was top of the county in grades. My sister was clean. My sister wasn't like me. I hated her even more. But when that man smashed my back with a wine bottle, dragged me by the hair against the wall, my body covered in scabs that formed and broke open repeatedly, only my sister pulled me into her room and treated my wounds. Her cool fingertips traced the cuts on my back. I looked up at the moon. That night my sister held me in her arms. I didn't know what decision she, at 15, made that night. That rural shack filled with strange smells. I still lived in agony every day. Because my mother started doing strange things, my father dragged me out of my room to beat me. My sister remained silent. I only remember one day. I was beaten by my father until I was gasping on the floor. A tooth fell out, landing near my sister's foot. I looked up at my sister, said, "Save me." My sister's pupils trembled. I blamed her for being indifferent, but I didn't understand then. Those were her biological parents. She and they were on the same side. The first time I showed unusual physical strength. My adoptive mother said, "You can go out and earn money now, aren't you happy?" I think my mother was already going mad then. She hid in her room every day, snorting that white powdery stuff. My father was mad too. He kept losing at gambling, sold everything sellable in the house. The world was distorted. The only clear thing in that constantly churning world was Chloe. She received a county-level merit student award. She was smart. Only in her arms did I feel safe. Yet I could still resent her for not being able to save me. I didn't know she had been secretly planning something for a year. My father gambled away all the money, finally mortgaging the house. He still needed to borrow money to build an even smaller house. That day, my mother was unusually gentle. "Ethan, remember it was Mom and Dad who gave you a second life? You earn money, build a big house for Mom and Dad." Back then, I truly didn't understand this meant selling organs. I didn't know how humiliating it was, how dangerous, how insane. They knew I didn't know, but a kind of fear welled up from the bottom of my heart. Because my mother pressed down on my body, made me kneel before my father. That woman was high out of her mind, did whatever her husband said because he gave her money. "Chloe, don't be afraid, they'll give you anesthesia. Although you might lose a kidney, then be sold to the border as a slave. But you owe this to Mom and Dad, don't you?" I struggled frantically. At that moment I was so scared, I didn't know what I was afraid of. The world turned upside down, black paint pouring in, tossing me, tearing me apart. I felt so much pain, realized it was my mother pulling my scalp. I felt like my teeth fell out again, because my father's wine bottle smashed against my head. Everything was tearing, disintegrating. I didn't understand, was being human just meant to suffer? I asked why. Why me? What did I do wrong? It hurts so much. Don't you know how much it hurts? But there was no one in the world who cared about your pain. My sister came home from school, pushed open the door, and saw this scene. My mother was forcing white powder up my nose. My father had almost stripped me naked. The wine bottle shattered, my palm pierced by the shards, blood flowing out steadily. This world wasn't good. Not for me nor for my sister. When did my mother let go of me? When did my father lower his hand? I don't know, I only know the world was stained red. Warm liquid sprayed onto my bare skin, bit by bit. Fireworks were going off outside. Inside, the screams of two adult animals pierced my eardrums. Couldn't feel it, couldn't understand why they screamed like that. It was just pain, something I experienced thousands of times every day. I stared fixedly at my sister. The axe in my sister's hand dropped, spraying wet, warm liquid, staining my eyelashes. I squinted. My sister's face was expressionless. Told me to stand back. If they find out, I can't let the police find your DNA. My sister's voice was so calm, I felt like she was just making me a bowl of noodles. Like this was the most ordinary day among the countless days we siblings had lived through. That night, I washed myself clean, put on my favorite clothes, sat at the table, cleaned the entire house inside and out, placed a bouquet of flowers in a battered vase. My sister was in the kitchen, mixing cement to patch the new wall. Everything was taken care of. My sister ruffled my hair, and I knew. The next day my sister took me, crying, to the police station to report. Sobbing, "Officer, Mom and Dad haven't come back for 2 days. I'm so scared. Did Mom and Dad disappear? Did they die?" Neither my sister nor I knew. That year my sister was 19, I was 16. My sister said she would earn money to support me, but she never told me that just before stepping into the house that day, she had stuffed her university acceptance letter into her pocket. A loud bang startled me from my thoughts. Is today some holiday too? Fireworks are going off. I looked up, staring at the brilliant display exploding across the sky, falling on everyone's faces, falling into the river of police lights. My sister, handcuffed, accompanied by an officer, standing not far away. Our house was half demolished. Police officers moved back and forth, processing the scene, taking pictures. Did my sister see me? I don't know. Actually, she could always spot me accurately. That time at the student's house I tutored. At my final graduation ceremony, I took a few steps forward, the neon lights falling on my face. My sister had the eyes I'd never forget in this lifetime. She was a psycho. Her love for me was despicable, twisted. She was the kind of person who'd lock me up at the slightest provocation. She was the kind of person who had feelings for me since she was 12. Turn back, why don't you? Forget the body held by your sister, the whispers in the dark, the intertwined kisses. Then none of this would concern you. But why did I just love her so much? I walked faster and faster, started running, past layers of neon lights, dashing through the falling sparks of fireworks. I heard voices. The summer wind blew through. My sister stood on a raised platform, hands cuffed. I rushed over, kissed her, lips crashing, fireworks falling piece by piece. Actually, I was already in endless darkness. My sister was my only star. You have to let me kiss her at the end, because she is my only star. Officers rushed over and separated us. My sister lowered her eyes. She didn't say another word to me, as if I were a stranger who had suddenly accosted her. Your sister doesn't want you to be an accomplice. Detective Wagner lit a cigarette beside me. I stared at the fading fireworks in the sky, said softly, "My adoptive father almost gutted me. My adoptive mother was forcing me to take drugs. What? They didn't deserve to die. Only my sister deserves to die? Why don't you go arrest them? Is it because you're incompetent, Detective Wagner?" She ignored my emotional provocation. Murder is against the law. That's what the law dictates. I regret not being able to send those two scumbags to prison. But whether they deserve to die is for the law to decide. Yeah, great. I propped my chin on my hand, looking out the window. Streaming lights ignited the dark night. The law. Why isn't there a law in this world to protect a sister who protects her brother? No one answered my question. I lowered my eyes. After a moment, turned to ask Detective Wagner beside me. My sister seems mentally unstable. Can she get a reduced sentence? I always felt my sister had gotten thinner. Since getting out of prison, she also seemed much colder towards me. This was 3 days after I brought my sister home. 6 a.m., my sister woke up on time. I had to set an alarm to wake up this early, because I was afraid my sister would just run off. I rushed to serve my sister a bowl of congee. "Thanks," my sister said to me. My sister actually said thank you to me. Even when our relationship was at its coldest, she never said thank you. I froze there, watched my sister eating her congee methodically. My mother also came down the stairs. "Chloe, is the room I prepared for you comfortable?" "Right, my birth mother was found." My sister was sentenced to 7 years for intentional injury. The DNA comparison and crime scene investigation results came out. The cause of death for that pair wasn't the axe wounds, but shards of a beer bottle. The police speculated that my adoptive mother, after consuming large amounts of drugs, suffered a shock, triggering a stress reaction. The DNA found in the fatal wound of my adoptive father also belonged to my adoptive mother. Meaning, in fact, my adoptive mother killed my adoptive father and then herself. The reason my sisters and my memories differed was likely due to the extreme trauma caused by the bloody scene, and the fact that my adoptive mother was holding a bag of white powder she intended to force-feed me. My sister behaved well and was released 2 years early. During those 5 years, thanks to Detective Wagner's help, I found my birth parents. Both are university professors. For decades, they never gave up looking for me. The moment they saw me, my mother hugged me tightly, crying uncontrollably. Only then did I know that I, abandoned, abused, trampled upon, was also someone 2 parents on the other side of the world thought about day and night. Mom and Dad were very good to me, willing to give me anything. For the first time, I lived in a big house with stairs. For the first time, I used a bathroom with a bathtub. And Mom and Dad, after learning about Chloe and me, didn't try to stop us from being together. I thought my sister and I had finally overcome our hardships. The day I picked my sister up from prison, I kept sharing things with her. "I found my mom and dad. I have a family now too. Sis, I got my teaching certificate. I can start teaching next month." But in 3 days, she had said exactly 4 things to me. "Oh, okay, all right, thanks." I felt like I was about to explode. My sister wasn't like this before. She would smile at me, coax me, whisper sweet nothings to me gently. But now, she hadn't even said, "I miss you" to me once. There was a knock on the bedroom door. It was my sister. I thought she was coming to make up, or had finally decided to say something nice. But she was wearing a black windbreaker, carrying a bag, looking like she was about to leave. "Ethan, tell your parents. I won't bother you anymore. I'm leaving." She was really leaving, about to leave. While her brother was still standing right in front of her, she was leaving. My heart felt like it was brutally squeezed. Made me angry. "Where are you going?" I asked her. "Home." She lowered her eyes. "No, sis, this is your home too." I grabbed her arm. "Since you found your birth parents, don't call me sister anymore." Her cold voice seemed to pierce straight through my heart. "You know I was choked up. "Then I'm at least still your boyfriend, right?" I tugged her sleeve. I couldn't believe my sister wouldn't even admit this. She used to go crazy over me calling her girlfriend. But she remained silent for a moment, then moved my hand away. "I've been inside for 5 years. No contact for 5 years. How can I still be considered your girlfriend?" I stood stunned, looking at her in disbelief. "No, sis, what's wrong with you?" I was genuinely angry now, and also felt an indescribable panic. "You haven't been normal since you came back, you." I didn't expect her to push me away. It wasn't really a push, more like moving me aside, but I was angry and a bit dizzy. So I fell near the doorknob. Coincidentally, there was a splinter of wood sticking out from age. My arm scraped against it, leaving a bloody scratch. Looked quite alarming. Blood started beating up. My sister's eyes clearly jolted. She wanted to help me up, but I flung her hand away. "Chloe, you don't want me anymore, right?" She stood there stunned, listening to me. "Figured it out in prison? This brother holding you back isn't worth raising. Just abandoning me like this? You're such a jerk. Go on. Get out. I don't want you either. Get as far away as possible. I don't want to see you anyway. I hate you the most." That wasn't true. I missed you so much. You weren't a jerk at all. How could I possibly hate you? I was saying the opposite. I always used reverse psychology to confirm if my sister still loved me. Only this time, my sister, after a moment's pause, her eyes flickered, then she stood up, and really left, really walked away from me, really didn't want me anymore. I sat on the floor, unable to understand why my sister would do this, unable to understand why she changed after coming back from prison. Anyone else could make me sad, and I could stop crying immediately, but not when my sister did it. Chloe's 4th day out of prison. I cut off contact with her. Where's Chloe? She didn't come back yesterday. The afternoon sun cast warm patches on the sofa. My mother sat beside me, unexpectedly mentioning her name. I couldn't help but feel my nose sting. She doesn't want me anymore. Probably figured it out in prison. Decided I'm not good enough for her. I rested my chin on my knees. My mother reached out, rubbing my back. I don't think that's it. When people see others happy, they can't help but think of themselves. You mentioned Chloe's family situation to me. I think perhaps, seeing you reminded her of herself. Could she feel like she's not good enough for you anymore? I looked up at my mother. That child, Chloe, the way she looks at you, there's love, but it's always filled with sadness. Perhaps for her, watching you from afar is better than being by your side? I listened to my mother's words, thinking deeply. She patted my shoulder, handed me the car keys. Want to go after her? Give her courage. There's no such thing as worthy or unworthy in this world. You are important to me. You are the most suitable person for me. Where could my sister go? Where could my sister's home be? Sunset faded into the old neighborhood's twilight. Her only refuge was this home where she and I lived for over 10 years. I had the key. When I opened the door, the smell of alcohol hit me. My sister drank? I remembered she never drank much. I tiptoed barefoot past the somewhat messy pile of slippers near the door. I came here every month to clean up. It wouldn't be too dirty. Bottles lay scattered near the table. The woman leaned drunkenly against the table. I walked over to her, looked at what she was clutching. Our photo album. The last birthday gift I gave her. I shook her gently. Get up. She squinted drunkenly. I sat in front of her, asked her, why don't you want Ethan? Her eyes immediately turned red. I didn't abandon him. Drunk. She seemed almost frantic, somewhat lost, her empty eyes staring at me. Then why did you leave him? Because he doesn't need his sister anymore. I heard her whisper, her words slurred and wet. He doesn't need her. If he stays with his sister, people will gossip. Why is he with someone who's been in prison? It can't be like this, it can't. He needs to be okay. I leaned on the table, brushing her bangs aside. What if he doesn't care? My sister opened her eyes to look at me. But other people care. I can't let my brother be subjected to rumors, speculation, humiliation. I cupped her face, looking into her eyes. Ethan loves you. Chloe gave a self-deprecating laugh. What does that count for? It's only because sister was the only one who loved him before, that's why he loved her. But now he has parents, he has a home, he has people who love him. Sister's love has nothing special to offer anymore. I felt like my sister was about to shatter. Why didn't the smell of alcohol on her bother me at all? Why did I still crave it so much? I looked into her eyes, said, but wherever you are is my home. She laughed. That's not true. I lifted her chin and kissed her. Tongues intertwined, her eyes suddenly widened, regaining a moment of clarity. Saw me. I'm dreaming, I heard her say. Yes, it's a dream, sister. You can do whatever you want to me. She pushed me onto the table and kissed me. I heard her say so many things to me. I miss you so much. Don't go. I love you. What do? I like you too much. All the words I wanted to hear. She said them all to me. In the silent, lonely night. Countless times before, in this room, in this exact spot. My sister and I spent oppressive, humid nights together. The night wind carried endless darkness. My star lit up again. My gaze fell behind her. The next day, my sister tried the same trick again, wanting to leave. I played last night's recording for the woman standing coldly by the bed. It was full of her whining words to me. Ethan, I love you so much, don't go. I raised an eyebrow at her. Are you schizophrenic, sis? different person day and night. The woman's dark eyes stared at me for a long moment, sighed, then tackled me, wrapped me tightly in the thick blanket. Ethan, from now on, it's too late for you to regret it.